Welcome to day 265 of the 300 movie challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of June 2016, which was Finding Dory.
Okay, so before we talk like anything serious about this movie, I just want to point out one thing. Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
there's a moment near the end of the film that's like really sad and like all emotional, and but during this moment, Dory says, "I like sand," and I just started laughing to myself.
Oh my god.
Is it because of Anakin?
Yes,
God damn it.
it was just like fucking Anakin ruined this scene for me.
Wait. Does that mean that if Dory and Anakin ever got into a fight,
I think Dory.
Dory would win?
Yes, because
Dory
she
would
likes
win.
the sand, so she just throws sand at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dory would definitely win that fight.
So, okay, just wanted to get that off my chest because I didn't want to forget it, and get it, forget it. Ha! It's related to the. Okay, anyway.
I like sand.
Okay. So you.
So this is Valen, your first time watching this.
Yeah. Well, I guess I should go first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe I said this during the Finding Nemo discussion. I was never a huge fan of Dory. I didn't dislike her, but I thought like sometimes she was a little annoying and like I just didn't find her, super interesting. And especially I thought a movie centered around her, there'd just be too much of her, right? In terms of her kind of character and the forgetting thing and all that kind of stuff. So I never watched this film, mostly because of that. And also the Pixar sequels haven't had the greatest track record. So,
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are good, and Monster University was alright, Toy Story stuff was good, but the Cars stuff, and, anyway, so I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna hate it, but I kind of have no desire to see it. So, I'm kind of in a weird position with this movie, because there are a good amount of scenes in this that I like a lot. There's a surprising amount of, like, emotional scenes that are, like, really depressing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, did not really expect that. And then there's some of the characters, even if you don't really like interact that much with them, I end up liking them. Like I like the whale shark and the beluga whale. Like a good amount. And I don't really know why, because they don't really do that much. But like I like them. And the sea lions with with Jerry or whatever. Yeah, Gerald just being a dingus, and so that was fun. So there's a lot of like small things that are fun, and this truck thing at the end is so stupid that it's like funny, right? So there's that, and I like how they have this in kind of like this, completely different environment from the first movie, right?
Yeah.
Because at first I thought they were like, oh, they're just gonna go to California, and it's like another kind of ocean environment, like. Whoa, exciting, right? But no, they really kind of do more with it, and so it's like, okay, that's something new. Now, Dory herself, again, I'm still kind of mixed on her. So, I totally understand what they're going for in terms of what they do, I think is done well. It's just, I kind of find that sort of character to just be a little grating, right? It's kind of like the whole thing where it's like, oh, here's this person who's like really this is not Dory, but a similar kind of vein in the sense where it's like, oh, here's this person who's like so tortured and they're all sad and depressed. And it's like, oh, don't you feel that how terrible this character feels? And it's like, yeah, but they bum me out, so I don't want to see them all the time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a similar kind of feeling I have with Dory. Now, granted, I don't think that therefore is like ends up being a negative spread over the whole film. I still kind of see it as like I'm kind of at a mixed state with her. So
Okay.
I'm basically in the same place I was with Finding Nemo, where I thought having a movie completely centered on Dory would make me like her less, and that's not the case. And I didn't even know like Marlin or Nemo were like in this movie or did anything, so that was kind of like, okay, they are in this, they do some stuff, and there's some it's not just because at first I thought it was going to be just Dory on her own doing stuff, so that's not really the case here. But there's some odd, like, plot pacing and tone things in this. So, like, and I don't really know how to describe it, because it's not quite, like, it's not like the tone is wrong or anything, but it's like, somehow when watching this, like, you know, from start to finish, there was a bunch of times where I was like, this feels kind of random in terms of what I'm seeing, and sometimes the randomness was good in terms of, like, the truck at the end, right? But other times it was just, it kind of felt like, here's the several kind of scenes that by themselves are fine, but strung together just feels kind of weird. And I don't really know why, and I like what specifically to point to for that. So I do ultimately like this movie, and probably again the overall fact that it is actually fairly emotional and they do those scenes well. And I do like how they don't like cure her of her like memory thing, right? She works through it and deals with it. So like I'm glad they do that, and the message and stuff, and there is some good stuff in it. So overall I do like it, and I like it a decent amount. Not as much as the first one. But yeah, again, there's just some strange things about like the pacing, and not even really the pacing, but just like, again, like kind of weird. It's like some scenes just kind of go along and you're just like, wait, how did I get from A to... It's like you watch A, and then you watch B, and then you watch C, and you watch D, and while you're watching each of those things, you're like, this is fine, but then at the end of D, you're like, wait, how did I get to here?
Right.
You know? And so there's some things with that are a bit off. And then again, Dory herself, like, just kind of is a neutral spot for me. So I will say, though, like, baby Dory is, like, possibly the most adorable thing I've ever seen. So...
Who did her voice? Like, that is a very cute voice.
Yeah, and just, like, her eyes are, like, half of her body, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Let me see if actually Wikipedia says what the voice is. Oh, no, goddamn, I don't want to click on that. Okay. Not fitting, Dory. Finding...
Fitting?
No, not
Fit
Finland.
her into a dress.
Not Finland. It just... Okay.
Finland Dory.
Finland Dory. Okay, voice cast. It was the 7-year-old daughter of the producer.
Oh.
So.
It's so cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so... Is there anyone... Okay. Okay, the person who voiced the Destiny, the whale shark, like, sounded kind of familiar, but I don't know why. So, like, I'm looking at the person's name and I don't recognize them. I'm just seeing if there's any, like, other voices.
Other people you know.
No, yeah. Because I don't know why her voice sounded familiar to me, but I can't place it. No, there's nothing in here that I recognize.
I like the sound effect whenever she like crashes into something. It's like that squeaky toy
Oh.
sound effect.
Yeah, that was the one thing where I was kind of like, how do I feel about this? Because
it was kind of funny.
Well, okay, because you know, I am of visually impairedness, so the fact that, you know, they kept having her like run into walls or whatever, I was like, you know, that's kind of the cliched kind of thing about it. Because I'm like, you know, now of course I know that everyone who has vision problems says it for different reasons and they see differently. But for me, it's like walls are pretty easy to see.
Yeah.
The problem is like reading stuff and, you know, details and things like that, and it's like, you know, wall, so. But again, ultimately, the personality and interaction with the other characters, I think, is what I like about her in that sense.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely all the characters are very memorable and everything. And even though you only see them for like maybe a scene or two and stuff, they're definitely, to be able to be memorable in that sense is kind of amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, again, it's kind of like, it's like, I like this person. I don't know why, but I do. You know, so, I mean, I guess it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
So, yeah, ultimately, I'm glad I saw it. I don't feel like, at the same time, I don't feel like, oh man, I really missed out, like, seeing this when it first came out. I'm like, no, I'm glad I saw it. Yeah, I don't, like, love Finding Nemo, but I do like it, you know, a good amount. And I like this maybe, like, a step less, maybe, like, a step and a half less. So I still, like, for example, Finding Nemo, for me, it's near the top of the like category. Where this, I think, is kind of more middle-ish, maybe a little bit higher than the middle of the like category. So, I do like both. Glad I saw it. Some good stuff in it, but there, yeah, like I said, there are some odd things in it that I'm not really sure how to explain. But it seems like you guys kind of knew what I was talking about for that.
Yeah. Like, one scene in particular that I can think of is actually near the beginning where Dory, like, fainted, I guess, because of when she gets swept away by the stingrays and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Marlin just randomly appeared, and I was like, wait, where did you come from?
Oh yeah.
How much time passed?
Yeah. Oh, actually, speaking of time passing, I was like, when they're gonna go back and like find my parents, I was like, how long do these kinds of fish live? So,
well, why'd you have to bring that up?
so I looked, and they can apparently in captivity can live up to 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess that works then. But the thing is, this is one thing. If they did this, I probably would have actually liked it more. Is if they actually straight up had it. Yeah, your parents died. Like, yeah, I mean, like, because I legit thought like they were gonna. Because at first I was like, oh, wait, are they actually doing this? And then they don't, and I was kind of, I'll admit, was kind of disappointed they actually had them be alive. Now I get it. You probably can't, completely destroy the little kitties' hearts, but still, I don't know. I was kind of like, oh. I would have given them so much credit if they actually had them die. So, but I don't know. So I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add to what I said?
In particular, I mean, like, I guess when I first saw it, I didn't notice like the weird time jumps, but then like the second time, I was like, they didn't spend that much time like going through the aquarium, like Dory and Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought the scene was much longer.
I thought so too. Like, I guess when you think about the fact that this is actually not that long of a movie, then it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only a bit over an hour and a half. That said, it doesn't like feel that short.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel long, but it doesn't. It feels like if you were to guess, like, how long did you think that would have been? I wouldn't have said an hour and a half. I would have said, I don't know, maybe closer to 2 hours.
Yeah, I would have said 2 hours.
Oh.
Yeah.
It does really mess with your perception of time, because I was just like, wait, I thought they were gonna be here longer, and then it's like the movie is over, and then it's like, but it felt like we were here 2 hours, but then it's very confusing coming out of like the time thing.
Also, side note, like near the end when all the fish are talking about, oh, you gotta release into the wild or whatever, and I'm thinking like, why are all the fish that were in the tanks to go to Cleveland talking about wanting to be released into the wild? like I get the whole thing with Hank is that like that was his character transition, right? But like all these other fish, I'm like, why are you on board with this? You were literally like going to go to another aquarium and you seemed totally fine with it before, so like whatever, it doesn't really matter. But it's just kind of a thing that it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that seemed kind of confusing. Another thing that I'm not sure if it can work out is that when they were hopping between like the different tanks and everything, I was like, wait, are each of those tanks saltwater?
Well, no, even then, remember Dory was in like the water cup in the truck or whatever, and I'm like, that can't have been saltwater.
Oh.
So yeah, that they don't stick by that logic. That doesn't work. So
One of those things you just have to
yeah,
quietly ignore.
yeah.
I guess this is not the movie that you look at for scientific accuracy.
What? No, I didn't. I wasn't sure about that. I mean, the talking fish with memory loss. I don't know. I thought that was very applicable to real life.
Gerald having a unibrow.
I didn't even notice that.
Really?
No.
You had a unibrow.
Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, I guess. Well, okay. Speaking of the aquarium thing, there were a few like moments where there was just like scenes that kind of seemed to happen to be scenes, and like the main thing that I can think of for that was the whole like the touching pool or whatever thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like that has literally no point to be there like at all in terms of the overall narrative, right? I mean, it's kind of it's silly-ish kind of scene in terms of like they're all freaking out because the kids are poking them, right? But like it kind of just seems to exist to be there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a few of those as well. So I don't know, but yeah, overall I like it. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yay!
This is our quote unquote fourth animated movie already of the year.
Oh yeah, wait.
So I mean, admit 3, if not 3rd, if not 4th. So, yeah, it's kind of. Are there more? I feel like there's more, but I'm.
There's one more, but it's the undesirable one.
Is it? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually next. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Unfortunately.
Oh, great. Okay, and unfortunately, this one's of the company. Yeah, actually, we kind of ran the gamut of companies too, right? We had DreamWorks, and then we had just standard Disney, and then now we have Pixar, and then now we have the next
Garbage.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Ow.
Oh no! Garbage hurt you!
It was reflexive.
Garbage hurt you!
Oh my god. At least it, wasn't pushing you for the movie after that. Get it? Because of the first word. It's hot.
Oh, God.
Okay. Anyway, bad joke. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Next movie we cry and
I
I nurse my injured elbow.
It can't be as bad as the previous one that the company made, right?
Basically, for the next months, we're going to be very, very sad. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will find despair.
Great!
July 2016, Finding Despair. Okay, bye.
Bye.